Hey, welcome to another live stream. It's the Get Events Online live stream. Warwick Merry is the name. Online and hybrid events is the game. Hey, how's things going? It's almost the end of the year, and what a year it has been. What a very full-on year it has been. But there are good things ahead. I wanted to talk to you about one of the key roles that is becoming more and more popular and more in demand when it comes to online and hybrid events. And it's not what you think. It's not more tech, and it's not more organizers, and it's not different speakers. Don't get me wrong, those are all critical roles and important to have. But more and more, it's becoming apparently obvious to those of us who have been participating in online and hybrid events that you need a host. You need a really good host. You need a dynamic, energetic host who knows how to work with both audiences. One of the biggest issues when it comes to hybrid events is that the inclusion. Inclusion is so important. What happens is when people are in the room in front of everybody else, we get excited. The speakers get excited about the energy in the room and the people in the room. And so they will talk to the people in the room, and they'll glance at the camera. But often there's more people online in the hybrid world. So how do you make sure they're included as part of your inclusive approach? So you've got to come up with strategies on how to do that. And it's not just on the day, it's well before the day. How do you make sure you're keeping in touch with what's going on with the online crew? How do you make it all happen? Not an easy thing to do, I've got to say. But also, part of it is you've got to be able to deal with some of the issues. Now, look, you're probably thinking to yourself, Warwick, you're a host. Is this just going to be a rant about you trying to flog yourself? Well, there's an element of that. But I would also suggest that if I'm not the right person for you, make sure that your host is actually good. You can't just get the funny person from accounts. Don't get me wrong. There are some people in accounts who are very funny. But do they know what they're doing? I suppose it's a bit like saying, oh, I've played, GTR on my Xbox. I could go in a race. Like, you probably could in a real race, but you wouldn't be as good as the professionals. And so the funny guy in accounts is great, or the funny person from accounts is fantastic until something goes wrong. Because there are so many things you've got to do. You've got to be able to at least do some of the basic AV stuff. And look, for me, I've got to be honest, I've got a setup here that does all of this. Here I am. Hello there. So I've got a whole lot of tech here, including the most important X-Wing. Who doesn't need an X-Wing? So I got a whole lot of tech here that helps me do what needs to be done. So it's an important element of what's happening. And you might not be able to hear me as much because I'm aware here's my microphone here. Let me go back to the main camera. So there's a whole lot of stuff that's going on. You've got to make sure you keep on track of that, and you've got the appropriate gear for the appropriate setup. You've also got to make sure that you're managing all of the expectations and all the things, and making sure that you can pick up when things go wrong. I've got to say, the worst event for me on multiple levels was we had one of the major sponsors actually pass away during the event. And it was a really tough call in terms of what we had to do. So talking with the organizers, how do we were able to, it happened sort of before the first day had started. So we were able to keep it quiet, but it was important that we acknowledge it, and because it was a big name in the industry. So, working with the organizers, we came up with a strategy to let everyone know and sign a condolences book. But it's a tough thing. You don't go into an event going, what do we do in case someone dies? I've had major evacuation alarms go off right in the middle of the day. So how do you deal with that? And some people say, well, the CEO is that they'd be great for an MC as well. But the CEO should be schmoozing. The CEO should be out there meeting with, if it's an internal one, with all their people and really connecting with their people. They don't need to worry about what's coming up next, to have the speakers arrive, what's the introduction going to be, how does that all work? So having a host is really important. And I think now more than ever, it is all about having a relatable host, having someone who is very flexible, who can interact with people and not get thrown if things do go off script, and be able to pull them back and put them back in the right direction. So it is one of my little pet peeves, I've got to be honest, in terms of making sure that you have the right host. Again, I'd love it for it to be me, but for you with your event, who is going to be the best person to host your event? How can they blend the audiences if it is a hybrid event? Or if it's an online event, how do they keep them all engaged? Because you can't just say, hey, everybody, keep putting your cameras on. It's not going to work. Like, people don't want to do that. So how do you get them to willingly want to put their cameras on? And a good host will help them do that. And a good host helps clean up the mess. I think we've all had a mess. You know, those speakers who you think are going to be great, and they turn up on the day and like, that's not that good, is it? So how do you re-energize the audience after that? These are the important things you need your host to do. If you have any questions about hosting in terms of the kind of skills that you think you might need, what's going to be most appropriate for your event, reach out. I would love to have a conversation with you. But there are some fantastic hosts out there. Whatever country you're in, whatever region you're in, whatever industry you're in, there are some fantastic hosts out there that I am blessed to be called colleagues. And if you need, a duo, a female, someone who specializes in a certain area, someone who does characters, reach out. I'm always happy to have that conversation with people and connect them with the right people. Because at the end of the day, what's important is the outcomes that you and your organization want for your event, and making sure that you, your delegates, your organizers, everyone at the end of the day is really happy with how it comes. But I would really put this to you. So often with putting together events, the host or the MC is considered at the very end. Here's our budget for speakers. Let's get the speakers. What have we got left for the host? Can I humbly suggest to you, you start the other way around? Get a really good host. And then that way, no matter who the speaker is, the energy in the event will continue smoothly, no matter what's going on. And then you can get industry speakers, get, interactive sessions, get panels, whatever it is, and the host will carry you through. They are an important person. Make sure they're part of your ammunition. Hey, thank you so much for joining me here today. For those of you who have, for those of you watching the replay, throw a comment in, put, hashtag replay, because they're always a good thing. I look forward to your company. Probably not next week. Let's be honest. No, I will be here next week. Let's be even more honest. Next week's going to be the last one for the year. So I look forward to your company next week as we talk about all the things important about online. I'm going to do a big focus on hybrid next week, because as we roll out into the new year, and just when we thought everything was fabulous for events, the old Omicron comes and kicks us in the shins. So next week's about hybrid. What do you need to do to make hybrids awesome? And how do you add a little bit of extra to it? So look forward to your company then. All right. Thanks for joining me, Warwick Merry. This is me. This is what I do. Come and chat to me and we'll make things happen. All right, thanks for joining me. See you next Thursday at 9 a.m. Melbourne time here in Victoria, Australia. Thanks. This is the end wiggle bit. It's about to end. I'll wait till it explodes. There it goes. It explodes. Thanks for being